What's happening, everybody? Thank you for being here at All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. If you didn't know, you can actually subscribe to this channel. If you go to the link below, go to youtube.com/@accesskevin. I would love it if you not only click to subscribe, make sure you hit the bell so you'll be notified of upcoming guests. I've got amazing episodes in the past, about 350 of them. I also have forthcoming guests like Kip Winger and The Exquisite Taste of Plain Water. So you can become a member on that channel. It doesn't cost you anything to become a subscriber. If you become a member, you get exclusive access to certain episodes like Kelly Keegy at his place in Phoenix, Ginger Lynn, we're hanging out backstage, Cy Kernan from The Fix, Midge Ure, all sorts of amazing guests. And those are members only, but subscribers doesn't cost you a thing. And you get access to everything in the past. And if you're notified about the upcoming guests, you can chat with us live. So this episode would not be available to you if it weren't for my amazing friends at 5 Star Guitars. If you're interested in playing guitar, you want to get amplifiers or accessories, or maybe even take lessons online, they are available to you. They have no sales tax in Oregon, so everything you order outside the state, save a bunch of money. You can save even 15% more by using the promo code of All Access Live. So make sure that you let them know that I sent you and go out and support the merchant voted #1 in sales and marketing merchandising by the NAM Association. So thanks to 5 Star Guitars. And again, use that killer promo code to support them. Now, my next guest is not only one of my favorite humans on the planet, but this guy and I, we've traveled all over the place in separate bands. But as soon as we discovered each other's interest in all things drumming and Rush and just being good humans, I knew that we had to have my guest on because he's kind of become like a brother from another mother. Please welcome Brent Meyer. Brent, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too, man. You know what I don't have on my wall? I don't have gold and platinum records out here, but
Well, sadly, I didn't make any of the music you see above you, but I was involved in management with Warrant for a handful of years, and feel like I definitely earned the plaques.
yeah, you did, man.
Yeah.
What did you do with Warrant?
Just artist management. I was kind of the understudy to their manager, Avi Steinman, at the time, and he'd go out with other projects and leave me with the shop, and I did a lot of their day to day, and just took on more and more responsibilities, and cut my teeth. And it all I learned there has really served me well in as well as kind of all the other hats that I've worn along the way
That
in
sounds to me
doing
like
my
great.
main gig now, which is Strangelove-The Depeche Mode Experience.
It sounds to me like artist management is more babysitting than anything else, man. But
In this case, it definitely was. I mean, they're good guys, but not all of them had quite grown up yet at that point in their
yeah,
career. So they still like to, have a little fun. That the Kiss joke is, now they just rock and roll and part of every day.
nice.
Just because the back gives out or whatnot. But
Right.
yeah, so
Oh, buddy, don't even get me started with that. You got a lot of friends in the chat here. I see here, and there's a few of our mutual friends too. Hey, Mark Leverton, good to see
oh,
you,
nice.
man. Who's Just Us Productions?
That's my dear friend Karen Toady. How
Okay,
are you, Karen?
she says
Um,
you're her favorite human too.
she's a wonderful human as well. She yeah, she is our biggest cheerleader. She's gotten us shows, including a very important one we have coming up, which I'll talk more about in a minute. Thread that and set that up a little bit better later. But also I met her initially, I think, through working with her husband's band. They do an incredible Metallica tribute, Damage Inc.
Nice.
And I think we ended up on some strange bills playing with them and got to know her through that. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Man, boy, your chat is blowing up. Debbie O from Chicago, it's awesome to see you here. We've both been at the same shows together. She said she's going to see you March 1st at the Impact Fuel Room in Chicago. I know Debbie's a big Strangelove fan, and she's traveled to see both of us quite a bit. So cheers, Deb.
Nice. Yeah, I see lots of friends. Hey, Chris.
Ed Souza. My man.
Nice. From
See you,
Toronto.
buddy.
We just played up there. Had 2 sold out shows. That was wonderful.
Amazing.
Classic Bowl and Elmo combo. Yeah.
So most of the people in the chat, they already know this. All right. So and Al Judd, oh my God, this is going to be fun. Before
Nice.
we even get started.
Al is at Devo rehearsals in New York right now.
Yes, he
How cool
is.
that?
And like you, that guy wears a lot of hats, right? So
Totally.
if people don't know this, and I know that everyone in the chat knows, but folks, Brent wears hats. I mean, he's done the music management side of things, and he's an incredibly talented all-around musician. Most people in the chat might know him because he's a figurehead in the Depeche Mode tribute Strangelove. So we're going to talk Strangelove. Don't worry about that, folks. You can see DepecheTribute.com has everything out there. It's got schedules. It's got the forthcoming record that's going to be out on March 15th, right? And
Yep.
and so that record is all original music in the vein of.
Well, it's not all original music. It's sort of a hodgepodge because
Okay.
we had a limited amount of time to put it together. And so it's basically an original single called Sublime,
Okay.
which will be debuting at that show, which will be at Gaslamp in Long Beach, March 15th.
Okay.
And it'll be our record release party. And so it'll have that single, a couple of remixes of that, and the rest of the record includes some studio recordings we've done of different interpretations of Depeche Mode's work.
Okay.
A few things that we've done live, but nothing is indicative of what our typical show is, which is look and sound as much like Depeche Mode present their live concert as possible. Depeche Mode themselves, because they get bored, they've done some in this studio and have like an electric piano and a little drum machine loop or something, and I'll do kind of living room lounge versions of their own things. And they've got some versions of those iterations of songs online. And so I did a live stream recently of all Martin Gore songs.
Oh, cool.
I mean, he's written probably between 90 and 95% of their catalog. Dave keeps inching up now in these more modern records. But historically, Martin wrote everything, but he would save the ballads for himself to sing. It's for some reason, I think he feels anyway, his voice is best suited to the ballads. And so, a lot of the, it's kind of the pregnant pause, dip in energy from that relentless dance party thing that they do so well. And so yeah, I get to sing all of those live, and so we'll have some living room lounge versions of that. And it's really, we wanted it to be something that's different than what people, if they're buying the CD at our show, we want it to be something different than what they just experienced at the show, which is us attempting to present sonically as close to Depeche Mode live as possible.
It's crazy. Everybody knows this. You guys know this. If you go to see Strangelove and you haven't seen it before, it's uncanny how much the band sounds, looks, feels like Depeche Mode at one fraction of the cost, which is really nice, right? So
yeah, well, especially the last couple of Mode tours, we joke, it's like you can come buy a ticket to us for the price of parking at Depeche Mode's shows.
Yeah, nice. Do you find that because you do so much of this in your day that you have to sort of put back on the Brent hat and you got to put away Martin for a little bit, or can you dissociate yourself from, because you really do even act the character you're on stage?
I mean, as soon as I'm off stage, I'm myself again. It's very much just an on-stage persona. It is interesting, and all of us in the band have noted there are a lot of personality and role similarities within the band that are analogous to our counterparts in Depeche Mode. I think a lot of that is just personality types and how a band works. Is kind of organically constructed of those component parts, and people play roles within those organizations, and so people gravitate towards those. But yeah, it is the irony is not lost on us that our organization isn't dissimilar to how Depeche Mode works internally, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. You know, um, I know this about you guys that your personality outside the band is unique. I've known Chris Olivas for a long, long time. Your drummer, I've probably known him 25 plus years now, and he and I have been through multiple bands prior, and it's been amazing that his transition into this band, it brings a different vibe, right? So Strangelove, when they come out, typically, right, the band will come out and you'll have a half of a set that is very electronic and dance oriented, and then Chris kind of amplifies the show, because then you get in live drums, and it just takes it to sort of that next gear, that
Right.
the party's already happening, and then everything goes over the top in a really cool way when he gets there. But how about the other guys in the band? So we know about Chris Olivas, and we will have an episode where I'll have everybody together in a Strangelove episode. And I've promised this for a long time with you guys, because we've all hung out backstage and we chatted about it, and I've done little separate interviews. But most of the time, what happens on our show days is we do sound check, we do our gigs, and by afterward, everybody is they're going their separate ways. But it's gonna be awesome to do a full group. But I don't know. That's a lot of energy in one room. It may not happen. But no. But for your thing, so you've got Chris Olivas on drums, yourself as the Martin Gore character. Tell me about the other guys in the band.
Right. And for people just stumbling by or who haven't seen clips of Strangelove, in Strangelove, I'm the Martin Gore role, if you will. So kind of co-lead vocals, all the guitar, and one of three keyboardists. So there's a lot of live keyboards going around. And the Leo Luganskys are Dave Gahan, analog, and how we came by him is we were in search of a new singer, circa 2018, early 2018, and my wife Jen had actually seen a video of him. He'd had some YouTube shorts of him just singing clips of Depeche Mode songs and just hitting it out of the park. And we had a perfunctory audition, but it was pretty much just a ratification, and more it was just seeing that our personalities gelled, and just that he would have the energy, time, and commitment to devote to the project, which he thankfully did, and he dove in with both feet. And it was a transformative moment for the group. That's when we really started. I mean, we've always been on this ascendant trajectory, but from the point he joined in early 2018, it was just, upwards and towards the moon. And which culminated in the spring of the early in 2020. We had this beautiful trajectory. We just done this huge show in Russia, in Moscow, and we'd done a private show for the band, B2, they're called. And in Russia, they're as big as Coldplay or something, just like they're big time. And they all loved us and wanted to take us on an arena tour, supporting them through 6 or 8 of the biggest Russian markets. And then COVID happened the next day, and as soon as we got back from the airport, the shutdown. And then the month following that, we'd had planned for about 6 months our first proper European tour, including a lot of German dates, and so that ended up not happening. But I'm elated to announce that 5 years later, almost exactly same time frame, 5 years later, we are embarking on our first proper European tour, and we're going to be presenting Black Celebration album in its entirety plus B-sides, and then another whole, probably hour-ish greatest hits set, so we can kind of touch on more material throughout the 45-year canon.
Unreal.
There's so much material to choose from. It's even doing a 2+ hour set. We're just leaving out these Titanic songs. It's a problem. It's a great problem, but it is a problem.
Good problem to have. Yeah, absolutely.
And just finishing up, going through the band, Julian Shaw Taylor. came to be involved circa 2014. He's got a brilliant LA-based Bowie tribute called "The Band That Fell to Earth." That's kind of scales, up and down with extra horns and whatnot, but typically it's about a 6-piece band, and and he's gotten really far with that. Been on the cover of LA Weekly and all that, and worked with a lot of Bowie bandmates. In that context, and performing some Bowie with them, and in original music context as well with his own work. But he hopped on board about 2014 when we had an exiting member due to taking a more sane career path that they kind of had going in parallel with what we all do. And then James came on. He's our Andrew Fletcher, James Evans. He came on circa, I think, late 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. And his backstory is interesting in that he was originally our roadie. And when we had, someone else in his role. And then again, when we had that opening, it's like he slotted right in and has been indispensable ever since. And I think that's everybody.
Yeah, man. It's really great to be able to, for me, I get to have the opportunity to watch you guys from the side of the stage and the backstage. And of course I get to hang, pre and post show. But my favorite thing is watching the dynamic from all of you guys. You have a really synergistic style on stage. Everybody kind of they know where each other's position is going to be, their routines, but then you watch the interaction with the crowd. I got to know like Leo's costume changes often,
Right.
so I know when he's going to take off and go do his thing. But then the re-emergence and the re-entry on stage, the people in the crowd go ape shit. It's unreal to me, man. It's so fun to see that it's as much like a true Depeche Mode show as you could possibly get. I think people kind of forget that they're watching a tribute when they watch you guys, so you're going to have another few shows. I'm going to get to see you this weekend. I know you got the Parker in Colorado on.
Yeah. We're just outside Denver this Friday, sold out Performing Arts Center show. And then Saturday, we're in Everett, Washington, just outside Seattle. And we're performing with a Cocteau Twins tribute. I kind of set that up, facilitated that just for selfish reasons, because Julian and I are a big Cocteau Twins fans. So I'm excited to see them before our set. And we've played the venue King's Hall in Everett a few times, and the shows always go great there. And then we will see you Sunday at Rickshaw Theater in Vancouver, BC.
That's right, man.
And that show sold out as well. So
unreal.
We'll have the tickets.
Sorry guys, if you wanted tickets for any of those shows, you're not going to get them because they're all gone. But for the other shows that are coming up, we talked a little bit. You've got the Europe tour happening. You've got a bunch of other dates. So I'm just putting the link below. If you go to DepecheTribute.com,
you guys everything's plugged in there.
All right, yeah, guys, you got it there. So I'm going to shift gears because the Strangelove tribute is only a tiny window into the life that Brent Meyer has, and I was just thinking about prior to going live, I think what we need to do for an episode 2 is that you need to be here in the Pacific Northwest doing this live in my studio. I think that's a better chance because
that would be fun. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually trying to get myself and my family relocated out your Portland way as soon as possible. But I've got a house to fix up and sell first, and kid to get out of high school, and, life things like that. That I need to navigate as well. But looking forward to getting up that direction as soon as possible.
With your kiddo getting out of high school, is that an opportunity where the kiddo heads off to school and you and your bride get up to the Pacific Northwest? Or who do I expect to be crashing on my couch when you come over?
It'll be all three of us.
All right.
I think Tyler will be looking at colleges up there.
Oh, sweet.
So,
there's some good ones. Yeah. In case I'm north of the border, I'll make sure that the house is still here. There's a guest room, there's a bed set up, and what you probably won't mind too much is that there's an homage to one of your favorite bands all over the walls in there. We've got a signed Neil Peart drumhead on the wall. We've got let's talk about the Rush fanaticism. Let's talk Rush,
Oh
man.
my God, that's that is deep. In high school, my nickname to friends was Baby Alex, and I knew basically every Rush record to date, which then was Power Windows.
Nice.
Just backwards and forwards, and played along, and can't say that I mastered it with subtlety, and that all came later as I continued to develop as a musician, but I could at least get through it, and I knew all the material and could literally from album 1 all the way up to that point. Loved, and still do. I mean, it's part of my musical DNA. I mean, almost to the degree that it was detrimental to my personal development of my own style and sound, because I was so fixated on that sound and style. But midway through college, as my tastes expanded and I became more aware of bands like Depeche Mode. I mean, I was aware of them in high school and liked some of the songs, but Chris.
Yeah. You have people in the chat are like, wait, he likes Rush?
Yeah, I sat next to Chris at I think Hold Your Fire concert we went to, and we were just almost peeing our pants. We were so happy.
That is the best experience, actually, to celebrate the fanaticism with another super Rush fan.
Absolutely.
Every Rush concert I've gone to has been with somebody that knew a lot more about the band than I did. So I got a lot of education.
What was really cool, I got to LA in '94, and I think was it the Counterparts tour that was, if not, then Test for Echo, but that was at the LA Forum, and I saw Adrian and what's the guitarist name from No Doubt?
Oh yeah, Adrian Young.
Yeah, Adrian. Yeah, all three of them were there, and the drummer, and they were just air drumming, knew every fill just like everybody else.
I'm sure. Yeah, taking notes. And
yeah,
I as time progressed with that band, I mentioned this before. My son Caleb was such a massive Rush fan, right? That was everything to him, and Neil Peart was God to him. And I feel so bad that he never got to see them prior to the band disbanding and Neil's eventual, passing. But do you have somebody, your friend John McJunkin in the chat asks what your favorite Rush album is?
Oh,
do you have one?
I hate those questions because it's not a cop out to say, because we're asked, of course, all the time what our favorite Depeche album is.
Yeah.
And the most honest answer is it changes based on my mood.
Yeah.
I don't have a single, I mean, a lot of the times it's Hemispheres for Rush. Just
nice.
That was a really kind of transformative developmental album for them. And I think Permanent Waves was more the crystalline expression of some of those ideas they explored. But the adventurousness was just off the charts.
Yeah.
Hemispheres.
Yeah. John says, yeah, it's like asking which of your children.
Precisely. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Well, I mean, in your case, that certainly is appropriate, that it's just the music is such a big part of who you are. I brought up Rush, and it's funny because the stereotype is that most Rush shows are 99% sausage, right? So
totally sausage party, yeah.
But I remember
it used to be that way,
right? Beyond the Light shows that there's a lot of
through the aughts. There was a slow transition. I think a lot of that had to do with all the Gen X IT professionals that had nice jobs, and
right.
They got married and settled down, and they'd bring their wives who reluctantly went along because at least it was a night out. And so it wasn't necessarily born out of the same level of fandom that certainly bands like Depeche Mode enjoy.
Sure.
Where it's more gender equal throughout the audience. But yeah, I noticed that. And then definitely into the 20 teens, it was a lot more women. And I was so happy and proud. Some people, like the cliche is, I liked them when this album and now they're sellouts, whatever. I think that's all silly.
Right.
Even though Rolling Stones scorned them all those years and, they were overlooked for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, people came to the party late. But the point is they came to the party, and I think they were celebrated for the career. And as is evidenced in Getty's book, which
Right.
is, a brilliant peek inside to their internal, clockwork mechanisms and all that of how they worked internally. And I think they just had such a mutual respect and love for each other.
Yeah.
And that was always first and foremost. And if the music happened, great. If not, keep banging away at it. I love that there are no rush scraps. They didn't bring an idea through to completion of the recording process. Even if they felt it didn't pass muster, they'd just abandon it. And
Sure.
that's, everything that is recorded, people have heard, it's been released.
I mean, my buddy, this guy has a different catalog, different story, right? But his stuff. But the real question, I think, for everybody is like, which one of us is going to win the arm wrestling competition to get that Rush Beer stand-up banner at the YYZ airport?
YYZ airport.
I'm getting it, man. It's got to be for my kid. I got to get it.
Yeah, you deserve that. That's the trophy.
But
I've had the experience of all experiences. It was, I think, Test for Echo '96. I was with dear friend of mine, Carl Lewis. We were doing a label meeting in Beverly Hills, and for a label I just started working at, and then we went to the lounge at Four Seasons in Beverly Hills, and it was the night prior to the Rush concert. And there at the hotel bar are Alex and their manager, Ray Daniels, who also manages Van Halen,
wow.
for those not in the biz.
Yeah.
And that was a relatively new client for him at the time, which was interesting because he was dealing with all the Gary Sharon, Hagar duel, all that mess. But anyway, so getting to meet Alex in that environment was wonderful. There's, maybe 6 people in the hotel bar. It was completely the best sort of scenario to meet your hero, because they didn't have that guard up like when they're trying to get to a band vehicle after a show with a mob of people, or backstage where just being pressed up against and accosted sometimes. Or
how did you find out he was there? Did you run across him as you were walking in?
No, it was completely happenstance. But of course, I saw him from the back and recognized
his
the back
head?
of his haircut, just
Nice.
because that's the depth of my fandom. So approached him at the bar and said, "Hey, I don't want to interrupt you guys. If you're..." Now he said, "No, come sit down." And we just gabbed for probably 25, 30 minutes. And I told, the nerdiest thing I did that was the closest to losing my composure was I said, "I bet I'm the only other guitarist here that can play Didex and Narpets from Caress of Steel." He says, No, you're the only guitarist here that can play." I don't remember that shit.
I think he talks about some of that, right? Like the obscure stuff. Once it was done, it was done. He just like put it away. And he seems so down to earth in all the interviews I've seen, even the cameo stuff that you see him do. He seems so approachable. I would imagine that he wasn't as sort of put off and pretentious like a lot of celebrities might be, right?
No, they say don't meet your heroes, and that has been true in some instances for me as well. But yeah, no, Alex was a dream. He could not have been more generous with his time and funny.
Yeah.
And definitely with some of the Rush stories you see with and in the bag story, the stage at Kiss and all that. I mean, total cut up. So I love that most recent doc where it's them at dinner, just enjoying each other's company after the time apart, and just connecting as friends. And that to me was it was beautiful to get to peer into something like that.
The authentic sort of vulnerability that you see with those guys.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sound corny, but that's how you were with me the first time we hung. I
Oh,
felt like when we were all backstage, sometimes you just get caught up in stuff during the day. You know, you're
sure.
busy and chaotic, and you want to just breathe, like in craft services or in the green room. You know, you're just like wanting to unload. And I remember just well, the first time I saw you guys was on the '80s cruise, like 3 years ago, right? And
22. Yeah, 3 years.
yeah, 3 years ago. And I was blown away by the band, really, just in terms of being so meticulously focused on presenting the band as authentic as he could. And then, but not until we did shows later did you and I sit down and hang backstage. And I, like I said, I knew Chris Olivas for a
Right.
long, long time, but I hadn't met anybody else in the bands. I did see Julian do part of the Bowie jam on that cruise as well.
Hmm.
And I saw interactions with him. And what I noticed about it was that, you know, he was very approachable. I saw him interacting with people. And um, then when you and I got to hang, we could get past all the superficial like that. There was no more, you know, there wasn't like surface, like, hey, what's the weather like up in or down in Austin or whatever. It was more, tell me about your family, you know, tell me about things that matter to you. And so I felt really special. And then I noticed, and this is not to diminish that at all, but I noticed that you're that way with people that come to your shows. Like the whole band is out every single show, engaging with people and taking pictures and swapping Insta, you know, handles and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
you do make people feel very welcome and a part of yeah, as Anthony mentions in the chat, very genuine. It's a special thing because people, you've accumulated a family with that band with Strangelove. Is that
We call
natural
it
to
our
you?
Depeche family. Absolutely.
Is
It,
that
it feels like that. I mean, I see a lot of people there in the
yeah?
comments from all over the country, and and that expands outward, the more we play abroad as well, which is exciting. But
Um,
of course. I mean, I feel a kinship with these people. I mean, we happen to be on stage in this context. It's an unusual thing because we're not Depeche Mode, but we're vessels, if you will, and we're leading the congregation in Depeche Mode church
yeah, right.
is kind of the analogy I'd use. But we are just as fervent fans as anybody out there. And so, people ask if, oh God, just can't get enough yet again. It's like, I still get hyped about playing these songs. To my own surprise,
Yeah.
and I've been the first iteration of this project, I did was in 2006, and it became Strangelove in 2010. But I've been doing it going 19 years now, and I'm not sick of it at all.
Wow.
It's such a treat because that circular exchange of energy with the crowd, it's
Yeah.
all about that. And it feeds off of itself. And I know because I've watched you do it from the side of the stage when I'm throwing a drumstick at you and whatnot. But
You get a good, perfect heft. Actually, you know exactly where to throw it from. It's good. Yeah.
I don't know where that came from because I certainly didn't do well at sportsing.
Yeah.
I was a band and choir geek all the way.
That's all right. It was more, I think that you, it's your respect for me that you want to put it in that right place so that I don't look like an idiot by dropping. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, we've had some crazy times on stage. I mean, the acrobatics are very small in comparison to some of the other stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
And in particular, Strangelove, when you're giving of yourself that much energy and the interaction with people, sometimes you have to be careful not to open yourself up too much, right? Uh, there've been you've had some crazy ladies in the past come out to the shows.
Yeah, no, we've had some hauled off by the police.
Yeah,
It's interesting because especially once we're off stage, we slough off that stage persona.
yeah,
And it's interesting that within Depeche fandom, the thing that I think that I could most closely approximate it with is Grateful Dead fandom, even though the genre is completely removed.
sure.
But it's that level of fervor that people have, and people, save up a lot of money. Depeche tickets are not cheap. Face
Right.
value tickets, start at this last tour $300-400
That's
in a lot of
crazy.
cases, and up into low thousands. And I know dozens of people that went to multiple European dates.
Right.
It's like they saw the US dates, especially like the first ones on the tour, and then they made it a European holiday out of it, and then would see 3 or 4 European shows as well. So they're just following Depeche Mode around. I don't understand what kind of careers those people have that
Right.
affords them the latitude to be away that long and go.
Or spend
I
thousands of
love that they
dollars.
pursue basically Depeche Mode. It's a lifestyle and it's their hobby.
Yeah.
But some of the more extreme of those, the original kind of extreme Depeche Mode fans, the band themselves labeled them the Black Swarm, and which were, I think, some like particular German fans. There was
Okay.
a big pocket of interest there in like in the early 80s for them, and that were extremely zealous. But yeah, we've experienced some of that, and to us it's kind of silly. It's like, I'm just a guy who lives in Austin, Texas, right? I'm not Martin Gore. I didn't write this brilliant catalog of music. We have fun bringing it to you every night, sure.
But like the craziness, by the way, thank you, Amanda Levis is there in the chat. I see you there. Thank you for the kindness, saying we're both genuine. I was thinking about one of the
Takes
times
one for her to know one.
that's the truth, man. That
Yeah.
girl, yeah, she's definitely a greater half of that wonderful relationship. Love you, Chris. Love you, Amanda. The one in particular, you talked about the person, that fan getting carted off by the police. I remember that particular fan separate from that event. And I'll never forget playing together. We were all in Phoenix at that venue, and you guys were in one dressing room. Our band was in the other dressing room, and I came down and we were talking about different experiences we've all had. And then Leo brought up that one particular instance, and I said, wait a minute, are you talking about X person?
You mentioned the name, and it was the same name.
And we all had the identical chat messages that person had sent us. She'd carbon copied. They had carbon copied. Sorry, want to out somebody. Basically, the craziness to both of us, and but we had a shared experience. Do you mind telling that what happened? Like why the police were involved in this one?
Well, this poor lady, she just had too much to drink, and she decided she has an acting background and isn't afraid of public speaking, so she just volunteered herself, really vehemently insisted that, well, I'm going to basically MC your show and announce you on stage.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And she could barely walk at that point. I mean, I think that was discussed, while we were still getting dressed or whatnot upstairs, and, just ran by her outside the dressing room or whatnot. But yeah, 30 minutes later, when it was showtime, she couldn't walk. And there was this big staircase, and the cops were helping her down the stairs and then cuffing her and escorting her out, because she was just getting more and more angry that, that she wasn't going to get to participate.
Because you welcome people in as family, I would imagine that they probably want to do as much to be a part of your circle, not realizing that, there's only room for 5 guys on stage. Right.
Right.
And
well, I mean, there have been shows where people have jumped on stage and all get, kind of twerk all up on Leo and get grindy and all that stuff. And, until they get pulled off by security.
God,
it can be amusing for us.
Right.
Just if for no other reason, just to watch Leo be uncomfortable and have to try to maintain composure and still give the show. So we're laughing at him attempting to do that and keep it together. But, at a certain point, it just becomes, it's like, okay, now this is just a drag on the proceedings, after, 20, 30 seconds of that. And a lot of times if they have the chutzpah, they want to get up there and do that, then they want to stay up there for 5 or 6 minutes. And then while we start a new song. And so then that's security always gets involved.
It's hard to imagine Leo being uncomfortable when people see that persona on stage. If they don't know him, right, they think because he's so uber confident in that character
Yeah.
that he'll come out and strut. He's got his magic mic routine, right? And clothes
Yes.
come off and he like
Exactly.
it's just so there's so much hubris, in his performance. And then you see him off stage and he's he's quiet, artistic, a little eccentric, and
Yeah.
um how to really get him uncomfortable is for him to leave his phone behind and just leave him little notes. But anyway, we'll skip that.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
just a note: if you guys are out on tour with us, don't leave your phone behind in our dressing room. That's not
yeah.
a good idea.
Unlocked with the
Yeah.
camera unlocked.
Well, you can get your camera open no matter whether the phone's locked or not.
Okay.
But if the phone's unlocked, then you can do all sorts of things with the contact. So just ask Julian or ask Leo the next time you're on. But man,
times we've done probably. I was trying to think of it 30 and 35 shows together with Strangelove and Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah, man.
It's been a lot.
Well, I feel like it makes sense because I feel like I know the catalog pretty well. If Chris were to just decide to take a night off, I could probably make it through the set all right. And I'm sure vice versa. Chris could
arm wrestle you.
Well, it would only be super cool just that I love all of you guys. And if there were 2 drum sets set up, I'd do it alongside Chris just because I love that guy like crazy. But and I'm sure vice versa, he could pull off the Flock of Seagulls gig and, in a moment's notice without even thinking about it because we've all been around each other, the bunch. But
yeah, we've all heard each other's sets.
Yeah, man. What's next? Because you guys, I mean, you talked about doing that many shows, but you guys have some additional management now. There's a different opportunity coming up for bigger worldwide shows. Are you able to talk about that, or is it still quiet?
No, I can. We basically our official, launch of that was the first of the year. Okay. So we are now with Palladium Entertainment, which is a boutique organization, and they're pretty much have one primary client, and they're taking us on as their second client, and that primary client is Britt Floyd. And watching what they have done with Britt Floyd, as I have watched with much interest because I'm a Floyd obsesso.
Yeah,
Gilmore is my number 2, Baby Gilmore, behind Baby Alex. All about that as a player. And so we're really excited for this opportunity. Their sort of test run with us was putting this European tour together. And every time we post dates, then people hop online with a list of 100 cities that we missed. And we know, trust me, we want to go to all those cities. It's about logistics and, getting things arranged that route and make sense and all the technical considerations that go into that. But the great news was because we'd had all these thwarted attempts to get to Europe, that it felt like there's so much pent up energy of Depeche Mode fans that know we exist and have seen clips. I mean, we have an entire concert from, I think, 2019 live in Sydney, Australia. We did a theater there that like professionally mixed and everything that people can see on our YouTube channel. Strangelove. We got the best one. It's like youtube.com/Strangelove. I can't believe we got that.
No kidding.
Yeah. But anyway, so lost my train of thought.
Well, you were talking about the.
So getting to Europe. So we've been trying to get to Europe, had the thwarted pandemic false start there. And so this European run was sort of the test run for them to put together for us. And there's 11, potentially a 12th date being added right now. But the only reason it wasn't 40 dates was because of the ramp time leading up to it. Typically, it would be more like a year of preparation time on their end to book that much in advance. But the great news, and this shows, I much to our amazement and amusement, some of the, especially German dates, like the venues, these are like 1,500, 2,000 seat theaters, really nice venues. And one weekend, several of the venues, are like a third sold out already.
Already.
Right
Wow.
off the bat. And that's sight unseen. We could be
Yeah.
total shite, so they don't know, which, I mean, I think there is enough of a reputation in advance, and people do know, and that's why they're willing to give it the chance. But, very few of those people have seen us live.
Incredible. I mean, sight unseen. That's and really, I'm putting the link, if folks, if you don't already know, if you go to DepecheTribute.com, there are a whole ton of not only the European dates but all the upcoming dates for Strangelove. In the chat, I just saw there was a question about how many dates to date from day one Strangelove has done. How many gigs do you know?
I've counted, but I don't remember the number, because I
Okay.
wanted to see if we'd gotten to 1,000 yet. I think we're not quite to 1,000.
I'd be surprised.
But we're averaging 80 to 100 a year these
Incredible.
past, several years. So,
God, man, that what does a bucket list look like for Strangelove for you guys? Either pairing or
pairing with, more of our peers. Well, this one almost happened. This is just, for whatever reason, a lot of this is just logistics or happenstance. It has nothing to do with artists' willingness. But we were supposed to open for New Order at the Fillmore in Miami. They had a residency there a few years back, where I think they're doing like 4 or 5 shows, and we were supposed to be the surprise guest for the last night. And for whatever reason, it ended up not happening, and we were crestfallen that didn't happen, because big fans of New Order, Joy Division, and Peter Hook and the Light, and that entire family of music. So, but that's things like that. Playing on festivals, I love playing on festivals. I mean, we played with you, Milwaukee Summerfest.
Hell yes, man.
I guess summer,
year and a half ago,
23.
Yeah, awesome.
And with Flock of Seagulls, Wang Chung, and Information Society.
That's right.
We're actually going back to Chile with Information Society in May.
You know what? We just got notice that we may be going in May as well. I wonder if it's that same part of that same event.
That would be cool if it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I could bypass my my kiddo in Colombia who's there right now. But yeah, I've always wanted to go, and my bucket list, just travel wise. I don't know if you're like me, but I love getting to pair up experiences on the road separate from stage. I always try to, if there's something on either side, like for Chile, I want to hop over to Peru, take a couple of days, hike Machu Picchu, and make sure that I get that bucket list checked. And I mean, if we
went out to, I think first time I played Chile, we've been twice, and the first time was wonderful. Sight unseen again. They didn't know what Strangelove sounded like, looked like, and it was, I think, a 1,500 capacity venue, sold out a month in advance. And the promoter took us out to this ranch steakhouse, kind of out, like where the vaqueros and all that stuff, with the bolero hats and all that. And they just plied us with these literal, it's like, the Close Encounters mound of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
They served up just it's like a vegan's worst nightmare, like Morrissey would run away crying, but it was like just mounds of porterhouse steaks, all their Chilean red wines that they're famous for. And that was one of those, top 5 culinary experiences of my life, because it was just ridiculously so far superior to anything like that I'd ever had before.
Man, people that are big fans of yours that may not have seen the dressing room, green room, dining experiences, a lot of people don't realize that having an amazing dining experience while you're out on the road is really special. Like I for me, and I've asked this from some other like internationally touring artists, what your favorite catering was, because there are a handful of places that really, they go above and beyond. Do you have any place in particular that stands out that you can think of that just rocked your world, like besides Chile?
A lot of times it's places that have attached restaurants, that whatever the theme of the restaurant, just the fact that it's, something with an elevated culinary experience. It's not just, hey, have something from our bar. It's,
Right.
chicken fingers and something out of the deep fryer, frozen.
Which works for our bass player, but
Right,
yeah.
right. But it's we've got some dietary restrictions in our band,
Yeah.
especially look at Leo's abs. That's ridiculous. Come on, that's
He doesn't eat.
Photoshop. That's not
He
real.
doesn't
Come on.
eat.
Now, I mean, he eats a lot, but he eats extremely clean,
Yeah.
and that's exceptionally difficult. I mean, something that stands out. I think we were in not even Boise, but rural Idaho, driving from Salt Lake to Boise in the middle of nowhere at a truck stop diner. And Flo from Alice is our waitress, right? What can I get y'all, hon?
Yeah.
And he starts up on the hey, do you have the oat milk or almond milk? And she just starts laughing and cackling at him. It's
At
like
least the milk there is
on
probably a
point.
little more legit though, like if you get dairy, it's not like crazy pasteurized, like they're gonna have like real milk in rural Idaho.
Yeah.
Leo might have been okay with that. It may not have, but yeah,
True.
Debbie, you're right in the chat. Yes, deli trays. Would you say like 75% at least have just a deli tray of meat, cheese,
I
fruit?
mean, oftentimes even that gets overlooked.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
I can't remember where we were recently, and they just like nothing. Like if there's some bottles of a pallet of room temperature bottled water by the side
Right.
of the stage. They didn't have anything, and we didn't have time to eat prior to, it was one of those where you fly in, drive from the airport, get to sound check, and we hadn't had breakfast sort of thing. And that's the place that skipped, and we didn't even have snacks, and we were just
Oh,
dying hangry. And it's like, hey, where can we order pizza? It's like, calm down, calm down. It's like, no, you don't understand.
yeah.
We will sound check, but before we start sound check, where can you order us pizzas?
Yeah, man. Grab a slice as
All
you're coming
over
out.
that's something I think people don't appreciate. We don't necessarily get to eat on a normal schedule because
Right.
of the grueling travel schedule that we're beholden to. And so sometimes that's catch as catch can, and that's compounded with all the dietary restrictions and whatnot. But
Yeah, man. It's tough. Like really, if you're trying to eat healthy, there's a massive effort you have to make to do it on the road. If you're traveling with a band, so many gigs where they've got the only thing left at the end of the night are like cookies on the tray. And I'm like,
yeah,
man, I don't want to eat I mean, I want to eat the cookies, but
sure.
it's
But
a,
yeah, I want to make good decisions,
yes, right.
but there are no good decisions within 100 miles,
Hold on.
especially open at 1 a.m.
That
when
line
you
needs to
have
be
time
in
to.
that line needs to be in a Brent Meyer single right there. There are no good decisions within 100 miles. Yeah. What is up with Brent Meyer music? Because you've been doing Strange Love and everybody else's bidding. What's
Nice segue there,
Thank
sir.
you. Yeah.
Bravo. Well, like many artists, I uh, wrote and drafted and recorded the better part of a pandemic album. But unfortunately for me, I was probably 85% of the way through it. And then our Strangelove schedule picked up again, which I was extremely grateful for. We went from 80 to 100 shows a year down to, I think, that year of March 2020 to March 2021, I think we did 4 shows. And with no other, this is our quote day job. So, and we don't, have that kind of, recording, publishing, royalties, etc., to rely upon, like a lot of artists do. So that was a particularly challenging time. And some of us did other jobs. I was a music director at a school of rock, and loved that. It was a
Sure.
very gratifying position, and I did as long as I could, kind of muster the bandwidth to do both. But as Strangelove schedule picked back up, it just kind of overtook, and there was no way I could continue doing both. But so anyway, I have this largely completed record that that's one of the best side effects, I think, of our new management agent boutique situation is that it will afford me the opportunity to finish that up. Once that transition's really complete and we're shifting away from the weekend kind of flying in weekend schedule to 40 US tour dates on a coach bus. Once we fully transition to that model, then there'll be a couple of months off at a time before we go do that same thing in Europe, South America, Oz, New Zealand, etc. And so there will be some more time and bandwidth that I can devote to finishing that up. I'm very proud of the material.
Yeah.
I think people expecting something Depeche Mode like from me might be disappointed because a lot of my other while Depeche Mode certainly is a massive influence on my work, I scratched that itch so much in recreating in a product as record producer, sound designer, synth programmer, scratching that itch with this project that I kind of wanted to explore other avenues. There's Leo. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, your ears must have been burning, Mr. Lugansky.
That's
Good to
right.
see you.
We're talking about his photoshopped abs and almond milk. Cruelty-free, locally sourced almond milk. Yes.
Love it.
So, but yeah, I'm hoping probably realistically this summer or fall, I'll get back to that in earnest once we kind of transitioned.
Yeah.
And then my best guess at this point in time would be, maybe next spring or something like that for release. I want to, do it properly since, I did it the old school grandpa way, shake my fist at clouds. That it has nothing to do with today's paradigm of releasing music. I wrote and recorded, 12, 15 songs and instead of just writing and finishing, mastering one, release it as a single, and then, slow dripping it like the kids do today on their Tic Tacs. But I need to take a page from that. And that's probably how I will ultimately end up releasing it.
Sure. But you have to wait until you get a couple of singles recorded, one at least with Tambourine and me. Because I told you, somehow I'm going to have to knock somebody's knees out in order to get on one of those tracks. But I would be so honored.
You'll be invited, of course.
Chris Grumland, thank you for being a part of this chat. I appreciate you being here.
These are my dearest friends from high school.
You got a lot of friends there and a lot of fans. And I think one thing that people should know, about that outlook, for the record, some things that kind of gave you a little speed bump. Man, you had a massive health scare this year.
I did. Yeah. Well, about year and a half ago. Yeah. I was struggling with some problems, and it took me battling the U.S. healthcare apparatus system, not to get on that bully pulpit.
We can.
Yeah, I know. But it took me 9 months to get a diagnosis that I was already sure of 9 months prior, which is that I had prostate cancer.
God.
And that resulted in a prostatectomy surgery and, having my prostate removed. The great news, knock wood and everything around, is that I'm cancer free, and my oncologist and all that said I've beaten it, and had subsequent follow up tests and all that. But I'm a walking PSA now for men getting their PSA tests, and so there's no weird intrusive finger test or anything like that. It's simply just blood draw, like when just like you would go in and get cholesterol or other annual physical labs. If you're a man over 50 though, please get that PSA with your annual physical.
How did you find out? You said that this was
part of that medical journey that ultimately saved my life.
You mentioned that you had concerns that something was there for like a year before or 9 months before you actually got your official diagnosis. What was going on in your system? If you don't mind me asking, I think for people that might have some curiosity, because a lot of men, I think especially, they're hesitant to go in and ask for help. They don't want to go into the doctor. A lot of people aren't. I'm not just saying men, but in particular, what are some things that you were finding that were good sort of indicators that this needs to be something more than just an itch?
Well, I had a couple of UTIs in rapid succession, which is kind of rare for males
Yeah,
anyway. And then especially the severity. I even had, blood in my urine, which is, that's definitely a big, this needs to get checked out, all
yeah,
that. But yeah, the PSA test is detects for what's a prostate specific antigen is what it's looking for. Even a friend of mine, Jeremy in Salt Lake City, he's working on a documentary. He lost a friend to prostate cancer. And so I actually met him through him approaching Strangelove about being involved in this, PSA, public service
yeah,
announcement. And
yeah,
so I'm happy to advocate and, for people taking care of that. I mean, it could be anything from just, men having not a healthy stream or
yeah,
whatever, where it just, if it's, like a drip or just inconsistent, or sometimes can't urinate, or frequent urination and, having to get up in the middle of the night from sleep and things like that. Part of that is just unfortunately aging.
yeah. Right.
Um,
Not that you're or I.
no, that's
Right.
other people,
We're both
but
20s, right?
yeah, but that's something that it's an easy test to get, and it can save a lot of headache and heartache down the line,
Yeah,
because early detection is the game with that, and breast cancers as well.
sure.
I've got a, not tooting my own horn, but something wonderful happened out of that, and I've got this right here. This was presented to Strangelove and myself by the mayor of the city of Reno.
Whoa, look at this. Hold on. Let me make you big. One sec. Let's take a look at this. So, guys, if you're listening to this and not watching, Brent's holding up the Strangelove Day designation. They got a certificate from the city of Reno, Office of the Mayor, proclamation. It's actually April 6th, 2024. It's Strangelove Day.
That's right.
Nice.
And this was just basically in service of my being a mouthpiece for, a PSA for PSAs.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Man, that,
The mayor, Hillary Sheaves, she's a friend of ours. She was an army brat, and so spent part of her youth in Germany, growing up right when Depeche Mode was mega. And so she's a mega Mode fan, and so she
right
saw us the
on.
first time and just went nuts. So
That's killer.
got to know her. But yeah, that was really, really sweet of her to do so, make such a gesture.
Well, you've done your community a service by providing education about the possibilities of this. I think it's really important health wise, and you've got so there's the sort of light that you shone upon the health the potential health risks, but also you brought a lot of light to people in your music, man. And I think me in particular, I count the days until we get a chance to gig together. Thankfully, I get to hang out with you in just about 72 hours up in Vancouver, which is beautiful.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can't wait.
I'm looking forward to seeing you at the rickshaw. Guys, if you're in the chat and you did not know, I'm going to put a link up here. You can go to, again, DepecheTribute.com. That has the list of all of Strangelove tour dates. Make sure that not only do you put your hat in the ring to get the March 15th release of the new Strangelove album, there's merch available from the band as well, right? So get out there. When you're
Yeah.
at these shows, buy a bunch of merch, because this is kind of what keeps these bands on the road. It's one thing that, you get a smaller amount just in venues. You get basically a contract for playing these shows, but the merchandise money is really what helps keep these bands going. So get out there and
It's true.
buy this merch, and it helps the bands, but it also helps just keep them back in your court so they can come out and see you live.
Right.
And
And I'm elated that at long last, because people have asked, we're often asked by people who don't follow us as individuals within the band. They just, sort of passive Depeche Mode fans, oh, I like Depeche Mode, let's go see what this is about. And then, off the cusp, why don't you make your own music?
So let's talk beauty and chaos.
Yeah. Funny you should mention that.
Hey, look at that.
CD right here. Yeah.
That's okay. So that's a brand new release.
Yeah. 3 of us in the band. And this is just the original Beauty and Chaos CD was released last month. This is the remix CD that just came out last week.
Wow.
Entitled Signs in the Heavens, Reality Upside Down. And I contributed a remix. Mine is sort of a Massive Attack, Bristol style reinterpretation of a song by Cynthia Isabella from the band Silence in the Snow. Julian did one called Kiss Me Goodbye. His is called a French Exit mix, I believe. I think he had Carmine Rojas from Bowie's band playing on that. And I played some guitar and kind of stacked up some Crosby, Stills and Nash type harmonies, which was fun. Very different direction than the original. Leo's song that he contributed, Echoes the Angels, that's like a focus single. And this remix CD has a Combi Christ remix of that.
Right on.
So that's a double CD. There's all sorts of things on it. Al Jorgensen from Ministry contributed a track. There's Ashton Knight. There's Wayne Hussey of Mission UK. There's it's Beauty and Chaos. It's a really interesting project because while the principals in the band do contribute vocals sometimes, it's more about Michael Saravala, who's the engine behind it. Owner
of Schecter Guitars.
He is the CEO of Schecter Guitars as well. So it's about just getting his cohorts and friends, with his good musical aesthetic and great taste. He knows who to interface with that would complement. And there's some beautiful collaborations. It's a really cool. I'd imagine that would be a really gratifying project because it's more a framework and a playground.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Shoot me some info on that as we have the show notes for this. If you go to youtube.com/Adam.
Yeah, I'll link you. There's music videos.
I'll post all that stuff in the show notes. Everybody should know about this, and they need.
There's one Julian's fronting as lead vocalist, one with Leo fronting as lead vocalist. So yeah,
that's awesome.
We're in the family now. It seems.
Good.
Whether they would like us or not.
Man, I mean, speaking of family, I know that, especially you mentioned Julian, certainly had, rough experience, with the fires in Los Angeles, so my heart goes out to the recovery efforts there in the house, man.
His house where his daughter, Phoebe, and his ex-wife, still live. When I first met Julian, he was there. I've spent nights in that house, and it's no more. I saw some video of that street, and it's just leveled. It's really tragic. But I'm happy to say, Julian did sort of a live stream a couple weeks back, just to round up some new material possession for Phoebe. But thanks to Julian's good parentage, she has a beautiful Zen-like attitude about the impermanence of things that is, well beyond her years. And I'm really impressed by that she already has a deep understanding that it's just stuff and you can get another iPad. And the great thing about kids' wardrobe is, they outgrow it every year.
Sure.
So it's not like they're attached to a favorite winter coat from 10 years ago or something like we as adults are. So
right. I mean, ultimately, man, it's just about them being okay, right? Exactly. So I'm glad that they made it through. I know that a lot of the folks watching this lost a lot more, and it's a challenging thing, and so I don't mean to diminish any of that. I hope you're all healthy and make it through all this. And the best thing that all of us can do is kind of lean on each other. That's what we're here for, and that's what I met when I met Brent Meyer. Man, I felt like I developed a great friend and truly a brother. Man, I'm grateful for you.
Back at you.
Thank you, man. Guys, if you came here late, I want you to do me a favor. Go to this link I'm going to put up here. If you go to youtube.com/@accesskevin, this whole episode has been super cool. There's so much to know about Brent that's way beyond Strangelove Depeche Mode tribute. There's a lot coming out. There's a new record that the band has, and there's a new tour coming up in Europe. The band is going to be doing a lot of stuff, but Brent himself has a lot of great things that you can find out by following him on his socials. And if you go to DepecheTribute.com, make sure that you grab merchandise, support the band and the band's individual efforts. I'll have all of their links below in the show notes. And Brent Meyer, man, I'm going to see you in about 3 days. So expect big hugs
I
to
can't
you.
wait. Big hugs await you.
I appreciate it, man. Please be safe. You got 2 shows to get through before I see you. Okay. So
Right.
I look forward to giving you a big squeeze and say hi to the guys for me and everybody here in the chat, everybody that's been engaging. This has been really fun and awesome.
Thank you. Thank all of you. Yeah. I'm seeing your comments and as they scroll by, and
no surprise that Brent is well loved and I know that I'm not the only one. So Brent, thank you, brother. Thank you again. And thanks to all you guys. Make sure that you subscribe. Tomorrow night, this time, 5:00, The Exquisite Taste of Plain Water will be on the show. And as I mentioned early on, next Tuesday on the 18th, I've got Kip Winger coming to you live. So come and hang out with us. All right. Take care, everybody.
Be well.